What's up, hockey fans? Welcome to an impromptu pop-up episode of Snipe Celly. This one's going to be a little bit shorter tonight, but as you can see already, Joel, literally Connor Bedard for Nino. He's got the jersey. Yeah, I'm 99% convinced that the whole reason you wanted to do tonight's show was to show off that you got that jersey.
It was not, but after I got it, it was definitely a nice little cherry on top.
Yeah, I bet. The fact that you already, we've known for months.
I promised myself.
I told you in November Bedard was going to Chicago, and you're like, it's never going to happen. And here we are.
I never believed we were going to get him.
I don't know if I buy that.
I really didn't. I believed we had a shot while we kept the basement of the league tied up, and then all of a sudden we went on an 8-game winning streak, and then after that win streak, regardless of what happened, I was like, it's over. Like, we're not going to get him.
Yeah, and especially late in the year as well, when you had the win over Pittsburgh to mess up the odds, and then Columbus wins to mess up the odds even more.
I got to even tell you, too, I legit, even when we're sitting there during the draft lottery, when it got down to it and it was Anaheim and us, I legit was waiting for that Ducks logo to be shown. I did not think it was going to happen until it actually happened.
I want to jump right in with a couple of questions tonight. We kind of wanted to pick our
This is leisure. This is leisure. We're chilling. You're drinking. What are you drinking? Drinking some bourbon, right?
Jack, left over from the wedding, of course, in the state of hockey glass here. So,
yeah, I forgot to pour a drink before we decided to go live. So,
that's a rookie move.
That is a rookie move. I'm wearing a rookie's jersey.
You're gonna sleep in that thing tonight, aren't you?
The thought may or may not have crossed my mind. I cannot lie to you. But, I figured, hey, man, we got to do a post. We're not doing a show next week. Let's do a little, call it a fireside chat of the post-draft. Both of our teams did pretty damn well, I'd say.
Yeah, let's start just by asking here, how would you grade Chicago's draft? And I'm not going to ask you to do the draft as a whole. I'm going to ask you to do day 1 and day 2 and break it up that
way. I'll do you one better. I'll do all 3. I'll do one as a whole after those. Okay. And I figure you'll do this too. So we obviously know. I'll just go through their picks. So they ended up picking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times in this draft. Mm-hmm. Obviously, number 1, round 1 overall, Connor Bedard. Round 1 at 19, my opinion, a steal of the draft candidate, Oliver Moore.
A steal of the draft, and you still got him in the first round.
Candidate.
The guy that I was hoping would fall to Minnesota at 21. Close. The guy I was hoping Bill Guerin would trade up for to go get. The pride of Mounds View, Minnesota. The future Minnesota Gopher. The best skater in the draft, including Connor Bedard. Yes, I said it. He's a better skater than Bedard, which is bananas, but it's true.
Yeah.
To say that my disappointment was immeasurable and my day was ruined, that was true with the Bedard pick, but then to double down and get more on top of it.
2 picks before you could have gotten him?
2 picks before Minnesota went. Thoroughly disappointed coming out of that draft.
Feed me your tears.
Joey, Kyle from Chicago was trying to trade up for him. I'm shocked he was there at 19. Easy pick, you value speed. Yeah,
absolutely. We've been the biggest thing Kyle Davidson has been saying before the draft, as well as Donahue, their head of scouting. The biggest thing they're valuing is skating and speed, and of course skill, obviously. But that's the first round is evidence of that, but also even some of the later rounds. So then we get to round 2. Today we had 3 picks. We traded one. We traded. Oh no, I'm sorry. We had 4 picks. We traded one away for. we traded. We traded back and got. What did we get? It was 130.
It was later. It was, yeah. It was
130.
I think it was even later than that.
It was 167 maybe. Oh yeah, we traded with Philly. Yeah, so we traded for 167th overall, a 6-rounder, and just moved down. So second round, we only picked 3 of the 4 times. We took the first goalie of the draft, Adam Guyan, who you might know him as if you look up the Connor Bedard World Juniors highlight of him undressing an entire Slovakia team, and then thus undressing the goalie. That's the goalie he undressed.
Yeah, not the best look for Mr. Adam there, but
however, he nearly stole gold for Slovakia. Like he nearly took games for them. So I'll take that. Was you said you were shocked by him being the first drink for Huxley? Yeah, right. So also, yeah, we traded for Josh Bailey. We basically gave them a napkin that said IOU on it, and they gave us a 2nd-round pick in 2026 and Josh Bailey, who we then announced we will be buying out.
Mm-hmm.
We then also made a trade with Tampa to get Corey Perry.
I'm a little surprised by the Bailey buyout, but I'm not surprised that they're trying to keep Corey Perry around for one more year, one last rodeo.
I'm okay with it. You saw, and I think Twitter saw, it was one of my biggest and fastest flips. I was like, I don't really like this. All right, I guess I could kind of see this being all right. Actually, hold on, I really like this.
Every teammate that Corey Perry has had has absolutely loved him. Every opponent that Corey Perry has played against has absolutely hated it. So
it's basically Andrew Shaw on steroids for us.
If Andrew Shaw was a former Hart Trophy winner.
That's why I said on steroids. That's why I said on steroids. Yeah.
Former Richard winner.
Yeah. So I'll take it. All right, really, I'll go through the rest.
Jesse saying Perry's going to look good in that jersey.
You know what? I tend to agree with you, Jesse.
Does Connor Bedard?
Connor Bedard.
Words are hard. He kind of is.
It's Connor Bedard.
I had too many thoughts going on at once there. Let me walk that back here. Does Connor Bedard seed jersey number 98 if Corey Perry says, guess what, Rook, I want 98 next year?
No.
No, he doesn't.
And here's the thing, Corey Perry wouldn't ask him to. But I'll just run through it really quick. Those were like the really big ones. Then 2nd round, 44 overall, Roman Kantsarov. I'm trying not to say like cancer. Kantsarov. I actually think it is.
With Russians in the 3-syllable name, this is a little broadcast trick. When they have 3 syllables in their name, and it's a Russian name, it's that middle syllable that gets the accent. Okay. So like Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, Kantsarov. When they have a 4-syllable, then the accent is on the 1st and 3rd.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. So Martin
broadcast trick for everybody.
Roman Kantsarov, 44th overall. 55th overall, Martin Messiak is how I'm going to say it. Then into round 3, 67th overall, Nick Lardis. Apparently a solid. What's up? Misiak, thank you.
Martin Misiak.
Mm-hmm. And then, Nick Lardis, 67th overall. Supposedly a pretty value pick right there, I guess.
That's a solid pick. Getting Lardis at the top of the 3rd.
Then we got 93rd overall, Yuri
Felkman.
Then we got 99th overall, Alex Ferrand.
Yep.
All right.
This name you've been waiting to say since 2 o'clock this afternoon.
131st overall. Potentially my favorite player on the Hawks now outside of Connor Bedard, Marcel. Yes, you heard that correctly. I didn't lag. His name is Marcel.
A couple of years ago, we had Ivan. Now we got Marcel, who's going to be the next with a double name.
From the league that brought you Ivan, here comes Marcel. The pick we got from the pick we got from the Flyers, trading that 2nd-round pick to trade back. 167th overall, Milton Oscarsson.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually another really fun name. And then finally, our last pick, Yanni Peltonen.
Yep.
So Finnish 1 goal. So 9 forwards, 1 goalie, 1 D-man.
Yeah, that was about right. Chicago needing to restock the prospect pool, and they nailed
Forward
it.
specifically.
I'm going to go so far as to say I don't even want to call Bedard a prospect out of the gate, just because
There's
there's
a lot of
zero chance
podcasts
that guy
that have
ever
that.
plays in Rockford, unless
No.
it's like a conditioning
I
stint.
loved how humble he was too. Like he is genuinely like this nice kid who's sitting there like, yeah, I'm just going to focus on making the team. It's like, do you really? No, come on. He's like, and every question, like everyone on ESPN and everyone else is trying to deflect it. Like, so what are you going to do? Like, how do you love the jerseys? All people buying your jerseys. They're all going to be, you're going to be your first game or whatever is going to be against Sidney Crosby. And he's like, well, if that happens, and I'm just like, this kid is so humble. He's so nice.
Yeah, like he says the right things, but like there is a 99.9% chance that he is on first line center opening night, taking that puck drop against Crosby. Like the only way that he's not is if there's an offseason injury, which God forbid, I would hate for that to happen. I'm not gonna. Yeah.
Please God, no. Please
Yeah.
God, no. But yeah, I mean,
guess what? You want the second overall pick next year too? Guess what? That's how you get it.
What do you mean? We can get first overall again. It's then the third year we can't get it.
It's third, fourth, and fifth years you can't get it. Anytime in
Yeah.
the next 4 years, you're fair game to get number one. Next year is your best shot to get it.
Yeah.
I'm going to rage quit the NHL if Chicago gets the number one overall pick next year. I will
Here's the
end
thing.
this show. I will take my name off it and hand it off to you.
We're not going to be bad enough to do it again. We're
We'll
going to be
change the
bad.
show name to Bedard Snipe Celly.
Okay. Can we do that
Yeah.
anyway?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
That's fine, I guess. But the draft grade. So to answer your question in order, day one, A plus.
Yeah.
The plus only because it comes from because Bedard just automatically gives you the plus on that. But having Oliver Moore slide down to 19, Kyle Davidson literally said on record he had a trade package ready to go to trade up and get Oliver Moore. And every single round that kept, or every single pick that kept going by and he wasn't getting picked, he was like, oh, well, all right. He said he was absolutely shocked he didn't have to trade up to get him.
Yeah, we had Oliver Moore in our mock to Nashville at 15. They went with Matthew Wood. So once we saw that, oh, shoot, Nashville didn't take him, then it was 16 where we had Matthew Wood, and it became Samuel Hanzik. Then we went to Detroit at 17. I'm going, okay, Yzerman loves speed. Got to be him at 17. Sandin Pellikka, 18. And you texted this to us like, Winnipeg needs a center. This is where Oliver Moore goes. And they ended up going with Colby Barlow.
Right.
And then as soon as it was like the Hawks are there at 19 and Oliver Moore is still on the board, like I think all of us knew and just had to wait in agony as we actually watched them announce the pick.
I actually cheered just as loud as I did for one overall too. Not
well, because you've known for months that it was going to be Bedard, but you knew for 2 seconds at that point that it was going to be Baltimore.
And as we did more research on these first round, picks, I fell in love with Oliver Moore over the last couple of weeks. The fact that he's a center, obviously the thing is like we said, we didn't necessarily get a bunch of size in the draft, but like we also did. We got a guy who's, I think he's 6'4", like 240 or some crazy thing like that. I'd have to look it up. I got to look it up again, but he's a massive humanity. Might be Martin.
Martin Mishak is 6'2", 198. I mean, and that's good size as well.
That might have been who I was talking about. Oh, I swear we got somebody like 220, 230.
Yuri Felkman was 6'4", 198.
All right, that's what I was thinking of. 6'4". I just misread the. Yeah. Oh wait, no, it was him. 6'4", but I guess it's like that weight is actually.
He could have bulked up even more.
The weight, he gained like 30 pounds since that's what it was. So he's like 6'4", like 220 something. It's like, whoa. But yeah, so obviously day one, A plus. Day two, I don't know that much I'll admit it. I don't really know that much other than maybe a couple of the second round picks and one of the third round picks.
Mhm.
I don't know that much. So because of that reason, probably like a B minus B. Why I say B instead of B minus or like C plus, the just confidence that Davidson and our scouting department have had throughout these last 2 days. Like, yeah, I get it. Take away the fact that, yeah, you're going to be confident because you're getting Connor Bedard. You're going to have this confidence. You're going to have this kind of swagger to you. I understand that.
Mm.
But just they have their plan. They're so confident in their picks. They had nothing but amazing things to say about every player, and they went in depth. It wasn't this like just microphone crap that they're going to give the media just so they can leave. They were going super in depth. Davidson specifically is so well thought out, and he's a nerd. You have to be, I get it, but he actually shows how nerdy he is about the sport, and that's why I give it a high grade, because it's like he hasn't given any of us a reason to not trust his judgment yet. So until he does, I'm going to trust that he made some pretty damn good picks.
Yeah, I think looking at, for my team with Minnesota.
Yeah, go ahead. Go down.
I like the players that they ended up with for the first 2 rounds. And Brett Marshall from Sound the Foghorn, who was on the draft stream with us last night, brought up a great point.
By the way, shout out to the Soda Pod. That was a pretty sweet. I was in that live stream for a while. I had it muted for a while until like I would come in and out, like when you were on and when we were going through picks that I didn't really care too much about. These guys are fucking awesome.
Oh yeah, Soda Pod does a great job.
We need to bring Isha back on here.
We need to bring Isha's been on here before. We'll get him again. We'll get Hoppy. We'll try and get Spoke Z. That man is.
I feel like Hoppy and I would be best friends, but also at the same time we would go at each other because he's a Wild fan. Or no, he's not a Wild fan.
Well, he's a Wild fan, but he's also a Penguins fan.
We would go at each other then for Chicago versus the Penguins and Wild. It'd be fun, but I feel like we'd be like him and I want to have a drink with that guy.
Don't we all? Don't we all? Seth Topol from Lockdown Wild was there. Alex Micheletti, MNCAA was there. Dev from 10K was there. Just had an awesome show. But to bring up what Brett's point was that if you had mentioned that the Wild were walking out of the first 2 rounds with Riley Haight, Rasmus Kumpelainen, and Charlie Stramel, you would go, yeah, that's a pretty good draft. But because they took Charlie Stramel in the first and Riley Haight in the second, that was where things really kind of got topsy-turvy for Wild fans. They thought very good chance that Charlie Stramel was going to be there in the second, but he's the first-round guy. Well, and then Riley Haight, borderline first-round grade for a lot of guys. I think all of us were kind of surprised that he wasn't one of the first 5 names called today on day 2, and that he ended up still being there somehow, not only for the Wild's pick in the second round, but for their second pick in the second round.
So go through.
Was a big surprise
for everybody. Go ahead. Go through the Wild like I did the Hawks.
Right, sure. So at 21st overall in the first round, the Wild took Charlie Stramel, center from Wisconsin. Second round, 53 overall, Rasmus Kumpelainen from Lahti Pelican, Finland Juniors.
That's a fun name to say. The Pelicans?
The Pelicans.
The Pelicans.
We used to play on in Shell way back in the day.
Yes.
That had those cool,
sweetest,
really cool,
like baby blue jerseys.
Like the beach ball jerseys, what they kind of look like. Did not have. Let me back up here. Second pick in the second round, 64th overall, Riley Haight out of the WHL. Minnesota did not have a 3rd or 4th round pick this year. So then their next pick was all the way down in the 5th round, where they ended up getting Aaron Pionk out of Hermantown, Minnesota. Another one of the Pionk family that just is taking over all aspects of hockey. You know him, you love him. 6th round, they ended up with Callum Parker from the Victoria Royals, WHL. And then their 7th round pick was somebody who I was not familiar with until today. But as I've watched and started to look through his game, it's like, holy cow, how did this guy not end up going earlier than he did? 47 points through 62 games for the Green Bay Gamblers this year. He's from Edina. So, again, one of us, the Minnesota way. It seems like every other year Minnesota ends up taking a kid from Edina. Just to, like, it's like good luck or something, I guess. I don't know. But yet another Edina guy in Jimmy Clark. So what Minnesota ends up with in that draft is 4 centers, 4 defensemen. Wait, no, sorry. I can't do math on the fly. 4 centers, 3 defensemen, and a left wing.
I mean,
3 centers, 3 defensemen, left wing.
Pretty solid. I mean, everything I saw on Wild Twitter was you guys were going nuts over what's his name, Riley Height.
Yes, Riley. Yeah, Riley Height. Yeah,
Riley Height. Oh,
yeah. Height or Height. I'm not 100%.
I think it's
Height. Now that you say it, I think it's Height. But yes, the general consensus was like he probably should be a first round grade for a lot of teams, and somehow we got him with the last pick of the second round. So sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But Height is a power play specialist, something that the Wild have not had basically ever.
Joey. Boo, Perry. However, he's a goon now, and he will protect Bedard, so I'm okay. I get. Yeah, Joey's not a big fan of Corey Perry.
Yeah, and understandable. Like, teams did not like Corey Perry for a long time when he was with the Ducks.
But all right, so you finished going through your draft. We'll obviously shoot the shit for another couple of minutes, but what about you? What's your day one grade, day 2 grade, overall grade?
It's tough because I want to like the Stramel pick. And I think he's going to be a good player. He had a really good draft -1 year. But his freshman year at Wisconsin was rough. He had 5 goals, one of them against the Gophers. But he also got thrown out from one of the games against the Gophers for headbutting. So he's a little bit of a loose cannon.
Scrappy.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a full wind-up headbutt, too. It wasn't like just lean forward and get you. Like, it was a wind-up
that's
headbutt.
why I had him going to the Rangers. That's a New York kind of thing.
Maybe. Only when they're playing the Caps, though.
Yeah.
Especially when they're playing the Caps. So I think day one, especially looking at some of the talent that was still left on the board in that first round, and I'm looking at some of those guys who went after. I was looking at Gabe Perreault, who did go to the Rangers 2 picks later.
I understood your guys' anger, too, I guess, a little bit, because you guys could have gotten Gabe Perreault. You did need a center, though.
We needed a center literally forever. And there is still some thought that Stramel might develop into being a first-line center. There is also thought that, and again, shout out Brett Marshall, he said they're all taking variations of Joel Eriksson in some way, shape, or form. After not having him for the playoffs this year, it's like, well, we're never going to go through that again because we're going to have 5 centers on our roster, 1 scratch, 4 in the lineup at any given night, and they're all going to be variations of Joel Eriksson. But yeah, looking at it, Otto Stenberg was still on the board if they were going to go center. Callum Ritchie, who I had mocked to Minnesota, goes 6 picks later to Colorado. David Edstrom was still on the board at that point. The big one, though, I think was Perreault. And you look at him as a player who I thought could have been a plug-and-play replacement for Matt Zuccarello when Zucchi hangs him up and you need someone to be on the opposite wing for Kirill Kaprizov. Leonard, to me, could have been that guy. Similar player, similar play style, and a finisher. I really think he could have been in that role. So I think that's part of why the disappointment was there. But at the end of the day, you're coming out of the first round with a 6'3", 222-pound center to bring size, sandpaper, and some finishing ability to the team. Yeah, he's got some work to do along the way, but decent pick overall. So I'm gonna go C- for Minnesota's first day grade, just with knowing what talent was still there on the board. I think they more than made up for that with today's picks. And I think, honestly, I would go with about an A- for today's picks overall to bring the draft grade to a B.
So we both got B's.
I trust Doug Brackett. I trust Bill Guerin. Brackett came to this team, and his first draft was the 2020 draft. And over the past 3 years, with three drafts, I guess, really, 3 draft classes, has built Minnesota into one of the top prospect pools in the league. They're still developing. They're still waiting on a few guys to come over from Russia or from Sweden. But looking at the guys who are going to be coming over the next couple of years, where you're looking at Danila Yurov, you're looking at Murat Huznadinov, you're looking at Liam Ugrin coming over from Sweden. You're looking at Jesper Wallstedt, who is going to be a top 5 goalie in this league. What they have done through the draft, and even looking at later rounds where you get a guy like Kyle Masters coming in, they've been hitting on later picks as well and getting really good value. I trust them to find that value in the later rounds, and if they have the guy that they want in those spots, they didn't have to trade up to get guys. They didn't make a draft day trade today. Which was maybe a little surprising given that they didn't have a 3rd or 4th round pick. And I think that's part of why I can't go with a full A or A+ grade for today. But with the picks that they had, hard to feel disappointed walking away from today. I think I'm going to go B for the overall grade, A- for today, C- for yesterday, and then end up with a B grade, roughly B grade overall.
Similar. A+ first day, B- second day, B overall for me too. I mean, that's the other thing too. Like, I'm with you. I don't consider Bedard a prospect, but I guess technically by the legal definition, he is.
Yeah.
So just by the legal definition, similar to what you were saying, like, look, the Hawks have a hell of a lot more work to continue to do. Yeah, Bedard is the cheat code that speeds things up a bit, but we're still not going to be we're still going to be in the lottery next year, not top 5, but top 10, probably. I could see top 10, maybe. So absolutely top 16 or 15, whatever. But just the hope that we get to feel now with Bedard obviously leading the way. You add Oliver Moore to the picture, while also waiting in the wings, you have the likes of Kevin Korchinski, Frank Nazar, Sam Renzel, Ethan Del Mastro.
Let's just point out that your 3 centers, your 1, 2, 3, right down the middle, is going to be Bedard, Moore, and Nazar.
Nazar, exactly.
That's stupid good.
Exactly. So we got we have some things to look forward to, and also that's technically he's graduating from prospect this year, but throw Lucas Reichel in the mix there too.
Yeah.
So we are in good hands as long as things go the right way and develop. And it's just, I mean, Kyle from Chicago, who the guy on the podcast, the Nashville podcast, interviewing him had no idea he was the GM of the Blackhawks. Also, I heard after it was over too, Kyle Davidson literally said, like, oh yeah, I'm the GM of the Blackhawks. And the guy literally didn't believe him. He's like, yeah, all right, whatever. And just walked away.
Yeah. Didn't believe him, and then realized, oh my God, this actually is Kyle Davidson.
It was also very funny that
side question here.
Oh, yeah.
How many GMs do you think you could pick out of a crowd? Like, if you saw them in a crowd, you saw them on the street, just walking by, how many do you realistically think that you could name?
Well, this is unfair because technically his day 1 was yesterday, but Barry Trotz.
Yeah. I could one. I for sure feel I would recognize.
This is also unfair because I have met the man, but Bill Guerin.
Bill Guerin, yep.
we met him. We met him. Yep.
That was incredible.
Yes, for anyone who doesn't know, we met Bill Guerin at Dan's bachelor party.
Let me see if I have the picture in here somewhere.
Also, the shout outs he was giving to Tootsie's. I want to party with Bill Guerin. I gotta tell you.
Who doesn't want to party with Bill Guerin?
And he's not wrong. Tootsie's is one of the best bars in Nashville.
Oh, you know what? I'm not going to have the picture up because unfortunately
tweet it out from the
we had some issues with StreamYard that
tweet it out from the Snipe Celly account.
Let me see if I can't find it quick. You keep going, and I'm gonna.
I could probably name a handful. Obviously, Steve Yzerman. That's easy. Man, it's pretty scarce.
Yeah,
I probably couldn't even.
A lot.
I couldn't pick out the Golden Knights. I forgot the Golden Knights GM's name. Couldn't pick him out.
McPhee.
Ah, yes. Okay. But still, he doesn't look distinct in my mind right now, so I probably couldn't pick him out. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I could pick out Davidson. That's probably not. It's probably not fair, but I think he is He's the youngest GM in the league. He's only 34. Think about that. He's only 2 years older than you. 3 years. 3 years older than you. Sorry.
I did find the picture of the cup. I was not able to find
the Bill Guerin one.
The Bill Guerin picture.
Just tweet it out from our account.
But I was able to find the cup, which
he signed.
Signatures. Yeah. You've got right at the top of the cup there. You've got Nordy, the Wild mascot. You've got Tom Reed, and then Bill Guerin is the one front and center right next to that.
Yep.
So,
wait, where's mine? Oh, mine was in there.
Yeah, it's in there. It's in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's in there.
I have to look for it.
Yeah, just tweet out the one with Bill Guerin from the Twitter account.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Hey, it's a good point though. Yeah. So
people were like, "How do you not know that that's Kyle Davidson? You're covering hockey, you don't know that's Kyle Davidson." Like we covered hockey too, and we could not pull GMs out of a crowd like that and be like, "That's exactly who that is."
Right. Yours is distinct. Mine's only distinct because I know him. It's weird. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's just funny. He just had this swagger about him. He was also the other thing too. He who should not be named that ran this place before him would never have done that. He would have never agreed to do this little tongue-in-cheek interview and kind of play along with the fact that this guy has no idea who the hell I am. Let's have some fun. And let's just list off a bunch of Blackhawks players and Mario Lemieux and Gretzky as the players I know in the league or whatever. He just had so much fun with it. He's smiling. He's having a good time. He's also a very serious dude too, because he knows how to get down to business. But I personally think it's a breath of fresh air when you got this guy who can joke around, but get down to business. There's zero ego involved. He's confident, but in a way of look, I know what I'm doing. I'm not going to treat you like you're nothing. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to answer. He answers his questions and teaches the media or whoever's asking the question. He teaches them. I love Kyle Davidson.
I love that he was surprised at pulling Michael Roosevelt and couldn't put together that wait a minute, what do these guys all have in common? They're all Blackhawks players. Maybe this guy actually knows,
Yeah. But yeah, so I have a question for you. And I think both of us have the same answer for the first thing. So maybe we can say, what was your biggest draft surprise? I think the obvious thing is the Ducks fumbling the bag.
I don't even know that it's fumbling the bag because Carlson is still a really good player.
I'm
surprised it wasn't Fantilli. I think all of us were, mostly all of us were surprised that it was Carlson and not Fantilli. But it's not like they took a guy with a third round grade at second overall.
I get it. But come on.
Yeah. I was very surprised by that. I think the other one that really surprised me, and I'll go ahead and take the stab at this one first, the question of who had the worst draft.
Oh, okay.
Because I want to end the show on a high note. I want to end with who had the best draft.
Well, yeah, of course.
But as far as who had the worst draft, and this was a big surprise to me, the St. Louis Blues. We talked about St. Louis's.
Wait, say it again. Say it again.
The worst draft, the St. Louis Blues.
Music to my ears.
Yes, they nailed the Dvorsky pick. Getting him at 10th overall, that was solid. Getting Otto Stenberg, great pick. But looking at what they did the rest of the way, they drafted 4 defensemen. All of the defensemen that they drafted were left shots. They have 7 defenseman prospects in their system. Yeah. All of them are left shots. So they now have like 11 prospect D who are all left shots, no right shot Ds in their pipeline. That's a massive L. So that to me, I think they had the worst draft coming out of it just because of that.
I'm surprised they
nailed it.
actually. I'm surprised they actually picked all 3 of those first rounders. I was convinced that middle one was getting traded. Maybe not the end. Obviously, they probably wanted to keep 10 unless they got their doors blown off by an offer.
Right.
But I really was shocked they picked all 3.
Is that your biggest draft surprise that there were no trades in the first round?
No.
For the first time since like 2006 or 2007, something like that?
And actually it was – yeah. No, that wasn't surprising for the sole fact of that's just how deep this class was. And I saw a bunch of the big guys on, the big journalists on Twitter saying, and this was the consensus among pretty much every team, there weren't any trades, especially in the first round, because everybody had their group of players, and it was just like, look, okay, that guy's gone. Cool. We got this amazing other option. Oh, that one's gone. Cool. We got this amazing tertiary option. Every GM kind of had that consensus. So would it have been fun to see? Yeah, but no one, I think the pool was so deep, especially for forwards, that no one really needed to do any trading. We were ready to trade up. You said you guys were ready to trade up, but no one ended up really having to.
I think the run on defensemen in that first round, like it was a small run. It was only 2. But to see Reinbacher go 5 and Simashev 6, and then Willander goes 11. We knew there were going to be some teams that kind of, I don't want to say reached for a defenseman, but it took a stab at one maybe a little earlier than the fans would have been comfortable with. It's fair to say.
Yeah.
But we had that in our mock. We had 10, 11, 12 as or was it 10, 11, 12 or 9, 10, 11?
Somewhere around there. It might have even been 11, 12, 13. It was somewhere around there.
Take a look. It was 10, 11, 12 because we had Sandin Pellikka, Willander, and Simashev 10, 11, 12 is what we had. By the way, you nailed the Willander pick. That
was the only one I got right.
Other than Bedard, but that's a layup.
Well, that's more than a layup. That's literally they let me take a step ladder and drop the ball in.
That's you standing in the blue paint with an empty net and getting a pass from Bedard while you're standing right there and just deflecting it in.
Yep.
We did end up getting 5 right out of our mock. We had Will Smith at 4. We had Ryan Leonard at 8. And then, honestly, I think this one was probably the hardest. Was we got Bradley Nadeau to the Carolina Hurricanes at 30.
Yeah, that actually was – wow. Yeah, we did pretty good there.
We had kind of a long run where it's like, man, we're like 1 pick off on a lot of these guys. We had Matthew Wood at 16. He was off the board at 15. We had – what are some other ones here where we're like close but not quite? Let's see. Well, of course, the obvious one is we had Fantilli at 2, and Carlson and Fantilli were flopped.
And that would be my chalk answer.
You had Reinbacher at 5, flopped him for DeBoer.
And then I flipped. Well, to me, like that was why that pick to Philadelphia made the most sense. Philly came out with a win, in my opinion, though. They landed Michkov.
Michkov, yeah.
They landed Michkov.
That worked in their favor. I was really surprised. Like, if you told me, hey, Arizona is leaving the first round with a Russian winger and a Russian defenseman, I would have bet my life savings that the Russian winger that they took was Michkov. And it wasn't. They ended up getting Daniil Boot, and then Dmitry Simashev was their defenseman. But I love the Michkov pick for the Flyers too. Like, he is going to be worth the wait for sure.
Oh, easily. And they're not ready to win yet anyway. They have the time. They can wait for him. But yeah, no, my biggest shock. No, my biggest shock was the chalk one though. It's chalk. My eyes got very wide when he said Leo Carlson for Anaheim, and I was like, what? Did that just no?
Tim Van Stratton, who we had on the show for the lottery draft,
he came to my mind first. I felt so bad for him. Leo Carlson's going to be awesome.
He has taken the copium a bit today, and kind of settled in like, yeah, Carlson's still a good pick. but those two are going to be
It's
linked for a long time.
Fantilli was the best fit for the way that team is. I also
but
no
Columbus,
offense.
You know how many Michigan centers there are for Columbus? You've got Fantilli, you've got Kent Johnson, there's a third Michigan center there, and I'm blanking on who it is right now.
Clearly, Columbus does give a damn for the whole state of Michigan. I don't know if that's too deep of a reference for anybody to get.
People should get that one.
We don't give a damn for the whole state of Michigan.
Joel, who had the worst draft? I went with St. Louis. Who did you have for your worst draft grade? Tough question, I know.
It really is. Weirdly enough, I might say Montreal. Now, I thought that Reinbacher pick was good, and maybe I'm listening too much to like Canadians Twitter because apparently they were.
Well, Canadians Twitter was up in arms.
They were lighting things on fire with that pick.
Somebody on Canadians Twitter quite literally compared Reinbacher to Hitler, and I wanted to,
What?
I wanted to burn the entire franchise to the ground.
Oh God! You see, so maybe that's just me playing favorites there a little bit. I mean, if I really had to try and pick, and I don't really know. I mean, St. Louis, I'd probably agree with you too, but maybe Toronto. I feel like Toronto just didn't do anything.
Toronto reached on their first round pick.
Easton Cowan.
Easton Cowan. Reach on a first round pick and then did not pick again until the 5th. Didn't trade up, didn't get anybody else.
They just kind of stood pat, and it's like I guess that's the theme. They're not blowing it up clearly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're going to try and run it back for the most part.
It sounds like today, was it Nylander or Marner? Apparently, the ask reportedly is a little higher than they want, so things could get a little interesting this summer.
Could be.
I'd probably pick Toronto. It was just so meh. Like nothing happened.
Yeah, it wasn't like they came out of the draft and you're like, whoa, they made some
splash
moves.
Or you look at where they picked Easton Cowan too. Like Bradley Nadeau was still there.
Mm-hmm. David Edstrom.
David Edstrom.
Edstrom would have been a really solid fit.
That was a solid pick for Vegas. That was really good for them.
Yeah, shocker. The team that just won the cup nailed their first round pick too.
We had him mocked. I had him mocked in the first round actually to Vegas. Gavin Brindley was still there.
Mm-hmm.
I know he ended up going 34th to Columbus. Columbus had an amazing draft.
And that leads me to my next question of who had the best draft.
Well,
is that who you're going to go with?
Columbus is absolutely I'm not going to go with me. I'm not going to go chalk and say the Hawks. That's easy. No, Columbus, absolutely. Columbus was gifted. I'm still going to say the second best player in the draft, maybe all around best player. Offensively, I'm going to
go third best player, but second best that has a realistic shot at playing next season.
Right.
Because they were, to me, Michkov is the second best player in this draft.
He just won't be here for a little while. Right. So they got the second best player in this draft that will be here within the next year or so. And he fell into their laps. They were probably chomping at the bit when they heard the L. They didn't even have to hear the whole name. They probably heard Lee, and everyone on that Columbus table was probably like, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!"
Yeah.
And then towards the then in the second round they end up with Gavin Brindley. Like that's huge. That's two huge centers that could lead your team to the promised land in the next few years. Not to mention what else did they do?
They're loaded up.
What else did Columbus do? Gavin Brindley.
They got Luca Pinelli in the 4th, which
William
a really good
You
move.
mentioned William Whiteclaw.
Whitelaw. But yeah.
Whitelaw, sorry.
Whiteclaw. I know what's on your mind right now.
Not a Whiteclaw. High noon, man. Nooners.
Yeah, that's true. High Noon's over Whiteclaws.
That's a team that was showing up a lot. Youngstown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would definitely go Columbus if I'm not going to go Chicago. I'm going to go Columbus.
Yeah, and you mentioned Gavin Brindley as well. Solid pick. Luca Pinelli, solid pick. Even in the later rounds, loved them getting Tyler Peddle at the end. I'm not sure if you saw this one. Cool draft story, but like he was in person at the draft, and Columbus is on the clock, and there were like 4 or 5 scouts talking to him, trying to get him to like come to their prospect camp. Just maybe sign as an undrafted free agent type player.
Yeah.
But clearly, like guys wanted to get him, and you almost wonder if like Columbus saw that and were like, "That's the guy we're taking. Get him here. We want him." That was cool. Loved what they did with David Poile. Did you catch this one right at the very end of in the 7th round today?
I couldn't watch it. I was at the office.
Okay. Well, at the very end of the 7th round today, they had a really cool moment where draft being in Nashville, and David Poile, who general manager for Nashville, one of the most respected guys, period, around the league.
You mean the guy, the amazing legend that Gary Bettman decided to be a piece of shit and try and use him as a meat shield for the booze at the beginning of the first day?
Gary embraces the booze at this point, I think. But
apparently not when you're going to bring up David Poile with you to deflect the booze. And he literally took him and pointed to him like, what are you doing? Don't boo. Don't boo him. And I'm like, Gary, you are a dweeb and you are a bitch. Get off the stage. Give the stage to David Poile and go be a gremlin somewhere else.
Yeah, anyway, but here's what they did today with Poile was late in the 7th round, pick 218. And David Poile trades back into that round, sends the Predators' 7th round pick next year to the New Jersey Devils, whose general manager for New Jersey is Tom Fitzgerald. Tom Fitzgerald was the first captain of the Nashville Predators, one of the first players that Poile brought in. So a very cool full circle moment there with Poile to get to hand off the reins to Trotz, but to also get that pick from a player that he brought in and was the first captain in Predators franchise history. Yeah, just a cool full circle moment. After they announced that trade, and David Poile then announced the pick, standing ovation from the draft room. Everybody on the draft floor was out of their seat. Very, very cool moment there. I think Nashville. Nashville's just a fun city, period. But
it really is.
They absolutely nailed hosting the draft this year.
Oh, absolutely. Look, as much as I give them crap because they're obviously a division rival, I love that city. Their organization really is a class act. Like they did such an amazing job, and the draft parties and everything. Like they gave us a place to have a draft party on a roof, and their media team had some fun with it and had Nash, their mascot, trying to shoot down the Hawks weather balloon up on the roof. Like it's super fun. They did. I'm gonna go with
City of Nashville had the best draft. If I had to pick a team outside of Columbus, I would say Detroit. I thought they nailed a lot of their picks. Went out and got Nate Danielson in the first round, who easily could be a captain. They got Sandin Pellikka, who might have the highest ceiling of any defenseman in this class.
Yep.
And then getting Trey Augustine as well. So they're going to have a goaltending tandem like about 5 years from now of Sebastian Cossa and Trey Augustine as their 1-2, 1A, 1B almost. That's loaded. That's a lot of goaltending talent in the pipeline.
Detroit's coming.
They're coming.
They're coming.
They are going to win the playoff series this year. They will be a conference final contender in 2 years. They'll be a cup contender in 3.
Yep.
That's how I see it.
I can't disagree at all. And also a little fun nugget to the Nate Danielson pick. You brought it up. It was funny when they were interviewing, obviously, of the countless interviews Connor Bedard was doing. Again, I talked about how like humble and just a cool kid he is. Like he like during the interview, they mentioned it was right as Detroit picked up Nate Danielson, and they were like, "Oh, like yeah, Nate, your good friend Nate Danielson, Detroit just picked him up," and he like went like, "Wait, really? Are you serious?" And he like got so excited and like sidetracked. It was like, that's so awesome. Like he didn't give an absolute shit about him or, you know, the fact that it's all about him really was all about him to the media. He was like, I don't give a shit. Oh my God, my best friend just got drafted to the Red Wings. That's amazing. Like it was so cool.
Yeah, absolutely love that. I think that's probably a good place for us to end things for tonight. So
some post-draft shooting the shit.
Who tuned in. Thank you to BetStamp as always for sponsoring Pod Snipe Celly. But that's it for tonight's show. Yeah, one more time, signupexpert.com/PodsnipeCelly. Download the BetStamp app, sign up for your sports books, use our promo code @PodsnipeCelly. Get you taken care of, make more money. BetStamp rules, go use them.
$1,000+ a year, potentially.
Entirely possible. So thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your night. We'll be back on July 11th for our next show. Joel, I'm gonna give you a full screen here, just because I can.
I'm not rubbing this in your face. I never did that.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not.